Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Wednesday, January 1st, 2025. That's pretty amazing to say. 25 years into the new millennium. So yeah, Happy New Year. Hopefully it's happy for you. I mean, it's happy for me, although it's been challenging. 2023 was probably the most challenging year of my life, but then 2024 was dramatically different, like night and day. So I'm excited to start the new year. With that said, today's topic is going to be art habits. Thought that would be a good way to start the new year. And yeah, welcome back if you are returning, and welcome if you're new. I use timers. Speaking of art habits, I use timers to build art habits, a daily sketching habit, and to just focus not only on making the videos but also on sketching. Now, I usually start a timer at this point in the video, but since we are talking about art habits, I kind of want to talk about, I kind of want to deconstruct what has worked for me, since I mentioned that 2024 was dramatically different than the previous year, and also I learned a lot, and it was the most consistent that I've been with my art practice and my art habits. I developed a lot of art habits. So to begin with, so this is an exercise that helps me. So what I'm going to do is I just opened up my Pinterest feed, and you could use something else. I mean, Pinterest is okay. It's still alright. Or like an image search or something. But I like the Pinterest feed because it, like when you refresh it, it'll show different pictures. And what I like about that is it can help give you some ideas. So for this exercise, maybe have something like that. And then I'm going to set a 1-minute timer. So just speaking of habits, to build a habit, I use timers. I use a lot of different methods, but for this exercise, I'm just going to set a 1-minute timer. And yeah, if you want to follow along, you can have like just some images to look at, but you're not going to zoom in or anything like that. Just kind of leave it zoomed out. So I'm going to set a 1-minute timer right now and just start sketching. And as I do that, I'll just kind of talk about the habit part of it. So part of it, the timer helps because you might not know what to sketch. So, which is what the reference or inspiration helps with also, so that it's easier to get started. And then out of this is a whole lot of other helpful things. So what I'm doing right now, for example, is just warming up, and I'm using a 1-minute timer so that I can not get stressed out about or just get lost in the details, or stressed out about starting. So that's a minute, for example. And I'll talk about it. I've talked about it a little bit, but I'll talk about it more. But basically, that helped me to get through art block. From there, so I would just use 1-minute timers for as much as you want until it becomes a habit, basically. And maybe that's all you can do. But I'm going to start a 5-minute timer right now, so that would be kind of like a good progression. So again, I'm just going to stick with the same sketch. And part of not only to build a habit, but it's also not to feel like you have to do more than you need to, or even more than you can. And I'm not really going to talk about how to draw. I'm just talking about just getting warmed up and just sketching as part of like the routine. And I might stick with the same page for a while for a few videos just to talk about more of the drawing aspect of it, or like the fundamental aspect of it. But I feel like the most fundamental thing is just building an art habit and having a ritual, really. So this will be 5 minutes, which is usually what I use, and I kind of move to 10 minutes. So I didn't really have an idea about what to sketch, which is why it can be helpful to have things like Pinterest, for example, just so you don't have to think about it. And this is just an approach right here. This is just one of many ways to approach sketching. Also, with using a timer, it helps with focus and paying attention. So these are things that I've had to train, basically. Attention and stuff. And yeah, you can actually train that kind of thing. Like, one thing that I can't train is inspiration, for example. So this isn't really like, the inspiration was really to talk about like these different exercises and how to build a habit. Like, that was the inspiration for the video. But as far as like inspiration beyond that, like, you really aren't really controlling that. All you can really control is just the habit and like the routine and the ritual of sketching, and just doing it a certain way, such as using a timer and just paying attention for a certain amount of time. But just going forward, because one of the things I'm thinking about is what I'm going to do for the new year and like for my channel and stuff. So just going forward, there'll be this kind of thing, which I'm just going to call basic drawing. So yeah, I always put the videos into playlists. This will go into the basic drawing playlist. So then what happens is that it starts to turn into your own drawing. So that's it's coming up on 5 minutes. And just keep sketching. Alright, so that's 5 minutes. And yeah, that works as a warm-up. And that may be all that you can do, or all that you want to do, and that's enough. So then I'll just do another 5 minutes, and I'm just gonna pick like a different picture and kind of wrap up this video. I think that'll be good. So just to kind of talk about like, there's different approaches. So it could be that you want to work on proportion, because this is going to be a profile. So a lot of times with a profile, I like to work out the the proportions, and you don't have to, because part of like the habit is also just coming up with like a methodology for sketching. So I like to play around with proportions, or like construction, which is proportion is part of that. So part of this is just like the reference, but part of it is drawing, like learning to draw. And you get that from just kind of figuring out the proportion, but also like your style, which is the way that you actually draw. So yeah, I'm just going to use this last 5 minutes to wrap up the video. So I didn't really have too much of an idea. I just knew I wanted to keep the art habit and talk about that. And sometimes it's just kind of good to like sketch for the sake of sketching, just because it's fun, like it can be. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of good to figure out proportions, especially in your sketchbook. And yeah, you can kind of figure out like just different ways of sketching and drawing. And simplifying, that's the other thing, which is helpful. And then you can always come back and add details. And I'm always on the lookout for potential OCs. So there's about 10 seconds left, and I'll wrap up this video. And I want to thank you for joining me for today's sketching routine. If you like these videos, please support the channel. I appreciate it. And until next time, keep on sketching.